example. So on the previous example, we were creating a new attribute and we are defining that, and with plain JavaScript, we are creating this function, which was blinking our element. We could do a lot of stuff. We could have this attribute or not. We could change the value and it will still work, right? We want to do the same thing with Polymer. So I'm just gonna rename this blah blah to start interval. Is that good? Because that's what it does, right? It starts the interval and this one toggles the visibility. Or is it confusing? Confusing, right? Start toggle.
I actually thought blah blah was more.
Blah blah was not? Okay. Okay, blah blah is better.
It's got that same repetitive blinking quality. Blah 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 blah.
Cool, so we have our element and I'm gonna just include some attribute over here. So interval is now 1 second. So I'm gonna define some properties, which is just interval. We define some default value for property, for the interval property. And now to access that, I just need to this interval, right? Make sense? Changing this to 2 seconds. Okay, now it's running 2 seconds. If we remove this attribute, we're still going to have the default value that was set up here. So we don't need to put this if statement to check if my attribute exists or not. They already did this deserialization for us. Awesome. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and change the attribute, and what's gonna happen? Nothing. Nada. And why nothing happened over here? Yeah, so we're setting the interval on the attached event, and this just happens once, right? The attached event was fired. We're setting an interval. Good. And then I tried to change that attribute, and nothing happened. That's because this code is not going to run again and do all this stuff again. So first thing, we're going to just move this over to a different function called blah blah. Just going to call blah blah over there. This dot blah blah. Still working. Okay. So now I need to call this function again when my attribute changes. Right? Make sense? So we need to do the same thing we did over here. We need to detect the attribute changed event. Attribute new old value new value, and I'm just gonna clear the interval and then call this dot blah blah again. So here's the life cycle. This function is called attach callback. I'm calling blah blah, and I'm setting this interval over here. So now it's running. And then I change some attribute. So I need to clear the interval because I'm going to set a new one with the new value of interval, which is not this one. But we can show this in a second. So I can change this. Actually, it is working. So all I need to do is call that function again. This dot interval was changed. So Polymer already mapped my properties, my interval properties with my attribute. And whenever my attribute changes, this property value will change as well. So that's why Polymer is so powerful. It already does this thing for you. And you don't need to care about getting the attribute from your DOM all the time. So this is good.
You show blah blah.
Yeah.
You see that? This the timer set interval function.
There's one thing that could be improved, which is what you did, is I'm calling attribute changed. So this is called whenever any attribute is changed. Doesn't matter if it's interval or food. So when food changes, this function is going to clear the interval and do the same thing as it was. So we can just go ahead and just check if the attribute is interval attribute, and if it is, we run this. So this is more bulletproof.
How is blah blah blah? So when attribute changes and you call blah blah, how does line 41 get the new value?
Polymer internally takes care of that. So the same way you don't need to get attribute from your tag and then check it out if it's new or not and set some value. The same way you don't need to do this with Polymer. That's what I mean by attribute deserialization. You get your attribute and they have this properties object and they just match each other, and whenever one changes the state, the other is going to change as well. So this is one of the cool things about Polymer. You only care about your property, your JavaScript property. You don't need to get attribute and do all those things. Cool. Oh my gosh, I was almost sleeping with this blank demo. Let's do something nicer. Yeah.
Does the console log read the Polymer code and give you errors properly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other part that we need to do with web components all the time is the template part, right? So remember when we had to get the template and clone the template, get the reference for this document, and get the content, and then clone nodes. We had to do all this, right? With Polymer, it's a little bit easier. And we can demonstrate how easier it gets by playing a little bit with this. So I'm gonna create that custom element that I have already created. Where is that? My car. So I'm gonna get this. So I have my car, have all these attributes, and I'm just gonna go ahead, create some template. Okay. And now I have this template, and I want to put the information of, I want to get this information and put it inside here. So you can tell I have a So I got my template. What I want to do is get this information, put inside of my template, and then use it on my element, okay? So if I just clone this, right now, the state it is, clone, template.clone node true, and attach this child into my element, this is what I'm gonna get. Nothing. Why? No idea. I'm registering my element. Oh, my car. That's how is it called. So I have a built-in. Okay, so I'm just cloning that template, and I want to fill it out. These tags over here: strong, EM, and span. So I'll have to get my template, query selector, strong. I got this information over here. I'll just put it like this. Text content. No, just leave it there. Oops. Okay. So we are defining our tag, got some attributes. I have this template. I have some content inside of this template. I have a paragraph, I have a strong tag, I have EM, I have span. And I want to replace that with information from my element. So I'm creating that, I'm fetching the template, and when my element is defined, attached in the body, I have to get every single attribute that I have to clone my template, I have to modify the content from my template for every single element, for every single attribute, and finally I'm attaching it. So it's a lot of work that we need to do. And we need to go to the DOM 3 times, we need to change this in memory, then we need to do it. How can we make this better with Polymer? So Polymer has this concept of local DOM. And when we're talking about local DOM, we say that we have this imperative portion of your code and a declarative portion of your code. So this is declarative, right? the template is the declarative part, and the script is the imperative part of your element. So with Polymer, the imperative is the Polymer definition, and the template, they actually extended the template tag and created this DOM module element. So we're going to use that and see how it works with Polymer, all right? So to use DOM with Polymer and combine those things together, we need this DOM module element. And the important thing is this DOM module element needs the ID, this ID attribute, which is the same name as our element. And what is nice is that Polymer will clone everything inside of this local DOM to your element. Okay, so this is the theory. Let's see it in action. So I got this. I have my car, I have my template, I have this, and I have this script part, okay? I'm gonna recreate the same thing using Polymer. So, importing Polymer. Let me move this to a different file. So we use only one. Okay, same thing as before, right? I'm importing my element and I'm using my element. Here's my element definition: template, script, attach callback, my car, blah blah blah. This is not working because I'm on file. Still not working because content of null. Oh my gosh, I need to do that thing. What problem I'm having? Remember what's going on? Why I'm getting this error over here? Cannot read property content of null, line 7. Why is that?
You need the document, this document, current document, owner document, my document, this place, this page document.
Owner document. So I got that. Fine. Cool. Now I have it working. This is with plain JavaScript. With Polymer, we have this element that they created, which is called DOM module. So they have this DOM module. And I have my script tag where I define my Polymer script, right? Is my car. So I need the same ID, my car. Okay, so this is the declarative part, this is the imperative part, same thing. This is a template, and this is template, and now I'm just defining my element over here. I'm just gonna put some content. I'm gonna get the same markup, okay? And that's all I need to do. I'm just gonna do this, change this reference to Polymer instead of plain JavaScript. It's not showing anything for some reason that I don't know. But we can start debugging and checking this out. Polymer, my car, my car, my car. Let me execute something in the attach callback. Okay. Oh. Awesome. So this is what I needed before. I have a template, I have my markup, I'm getting my attributes, and I'm setting the content here, okay? And the thing that we need to do, this 3 lines of code, we don't need this anymore. We don't need to get the parent, we don't need to get our template, we don't need to clone, and we don't need to append. Just 4 lines of code, Polymer does that for us. So we don't need to care about this. And I could just go ahead and now get the information from my, just gonna define those properties, right? Make string name, string year, string number, and trunk open boolean. And just one thing important to notice is that in HTML you define your attributes like this, right? But with JavaScript, this is not allowed to have variables like this. So it converts to a camel case format. So I got those.
You need to add the color.
Oh, and color string. So I can just go ahead and start putting together my information like I did before. Strong equals text content. This dot make. This is all we are using actually. So here's the difference. We have the same template, but in that one, I have this DOM module, which already clones the template for me, okay? So we don't need this anymore. We don't need to fetch the document that we are in. We don't need to get our template. We don't need to clone, and we don't need to append.
Do we need to register?
We are registering, like here. This is the first thing we saw, right? Registering an element. The second thing was properties. So we don't need to get attribute all the time, like we're doing here, because Polymer already maps that for us. So we got our properties. If those properties changes, it's gonna change over there as well. And that's pretty much it, right? Same stuff, but now we are registering, we have properties, and we are putting things into that local DOM. This is what we call local DOM. So here's a more fun challenge for you guys. I want you to create the FCC diploma. Okay, what is this? It should look like this. Fresno City College. So I want you to create an element like this. Fresno City College. I have these 2 attributes, 3 attributes actually. I have school, I have, I'm calling it. Yeah, I have, on this one, you don't even need attributes. Just put this on your local DOM. Create this element and put this on your local DOM. You can put attributes if you want. So I want school, I want the attendee, and I want the course. Okay? You have 5 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. Just try it out. See if you can make something like this using Polymer.